Colleagues, I have grave concerns about this bill. Grave concerns. And I think that there's a better way. And I think the consequences of this bill could be devastating. Layoffs, lost hours, and rising costs for people like my friend Debbie. Debbie's not hypothetical. Her situation isn't hypothetical. She's real. And these are real impacts on real people. As you know, I love to stand and talk on this floor about my district, and I love to stand and talk about kids on this floor. Those are my favorite things. I'm going to talk a little bit about kids, but I'm actually going to talk about some people that don't live in my district. They maybe live in some of your districts here because they've reached out, because they're concerned. One of the biggest concerns I have on this bill, and there's a lot of them, and maybe it's because I was a kid that was raised by a single mom who waitressed and never made a ton of money. That was before minimum wage, by the way. And did a whole lot of childcare. I was probably in my 20s before I could stand to look at a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or a hot dog, because I was in childcare a lot. That's fine, it is what it is. But I got a soft spot in my heart for those folks, and let me read you some information that came from Learning Tree Schools, Clackamas and Washington counties. Dear state legislators, the proposal for minimum wage increase will have dramatic impact on working families in Oregon, but not necessarily the impact intended. We've been operating child care centers in Clackamas and Washington counties for the last 22 years and understand very well the connection between wages and rates we charge parents. 50% of every dollar we charge a parent goes to wages and benefits for our staff. In our low-margin industry, as wages increase, so must the rates. If the minimum wage increases as planned, the very people that it is intended to assist with rising costs of housing, food, and childcare will pay the majority of their new wages to increased childcare. The ratio of staff to children are mandated by the state. We have no ability to reduce staff or replace them with machines. Currently, the rate for a full-time infant averages $1,000 per month. With the proposed minimum wage rates will increase to almost $1,400 per month. Preschooler rates average around $800 per month and will increase to almost $1,000. Many working families have several children in childcare and will face an increase anywhere from $200 to $600 per month. This proposed increase will not help the working families of Oregon. They could easily lose ground in their fight to make ends meet. And those are not my words, colleagues. Those are the words of three owners of Learning Tree Schools in the Clackamas and Washington County areas. I have one more piece that I want to share with you. It's from the YMCA of Columbia and Willamette areas, and this is in Portland. Just a couple points they make in their letter. It will substantially increase costs of services which must be passed on to consumers who use those services. This might be especially hard on those who can least afford a cost increase. I think this is probably one of the most significant pieces. For our Moda Child Development Center, we currently charge $1,183 per month for infant tuition. With the increase in direct teaching staff, wages only, doesn't include increases in other program costs, the tuition fee would be increased 30% to $1,538 to cover the costs associated with the proposed minimum wage. Those aren't folks from my district. I've been reading letters from folks from my district. And colleagues, I want to introduce you to a new friend of mine.
Representative Esquivel yields his time. Please continue.
Thank you, Representative. Colleagues, I'd like for you, for just a moment, to take a look at this picture of Debbie. Debbie matters. Debbie matters. Debbie's from Klamath Falls. I met her, it's probably been about 2 weeks ago now. Some of you may recognize her from the front page of the Statesman Journal. And yes, that's the back of my head, but that's the only part that you see of me. What you see is a woman who I had just met, and as I walked out, she saw a person. That's all. She saw a person, and she started yelling at me about minimum wage and how it's going to devastate her small business in Klamath Falls. And as she yelled, I simply looked at her and I said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you have to do this. And then I held the woman up while she cried. 61 years old, 38 employees, pays 2 of them minimum wage. I was in that restaurant the week prior to that. I talked to Debbie again this morning. She says, do whatever you can. She says, I don't want to lay off my employees. The costs have to be passed on. She says, we have a small margin. The costs will be passed on. I don't get the math. I just don't get the math. This feels like we're moving costs. We're just moving costs. We're helping a person that's paying childcare by them receiving more money each month, which causes them to have to pay more money each month for their childcare. I may not be the sharpest tool in the shed, but that sure doesn't make sense to me. Colleagues, I strongly encourage a no vote.